was 2 years ago, I think, in 2015. And somehow, I don't know how to, maybe it was, it must have been, I've been really interested in, we had a problem here in this area with the Terrace Streetscape District. That's a separate battle. But I was connected to the township and received emails on what their agenda was going to be. So I tried to sort of keep up with that. And I guess that was originally how I found it, was that they were having a public hearing. And when I looked at the map, Whitehall Road is intersected by, well, it's not intersected now, it dead ends, Blue Course Drive dead ends. And the development was right there. And then the stormwater detention basins came right below that. I looked and saw where the water would go, and it went right to our wells. And I was horrified. I don't know a thing about hydrogeology or geology, but when I looked at that map, it struck me as, this is very dangerous. There's a great possibility for risk to our water supply. And as I learned more and more, I became more and more convinced that this is really worse than I even thought it was going to be. Because they happen to be, the Harder-Thomas well fields are our two most exceptional wells. They have really, really high flow, and the water's clean. It comes off the mountain. It's relatively free of any kind of toxic chemicals. And then I found out further that it's 2/3 of our water supply, 75,000 people. I think that's a big deal. I don't think it's something that should be risked. There's plenty of land around here. And there's plenty of places that are much closer to the university as well in terms of automobile traffic. And I mean, you know, the whole picture made me feel like this was just the wrong thing to do. It was when I first saw that map that I thought, oh my God, we can't let this happen. And so that's when I wrote the petition, the original petition. And I think we ended up getting like, I don't remember, 400 or 500 signatures on it.
And then online they had more.
Well, that can't. Then the petition was put online, and I think they got a couple thousand online. But as long as we had 50 that were valid Ferguson Township voters, they had to deal with it. I was thrilled when Catherine got involved. She put it on. She put the petition online. Nittany Valley Water Coalition came to being, and it sort of took off from there. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of health problems, so I was glad that I wasn't alone. And they really flew with it. You know, I was ecstatic that they actually took it to court. Mm-hmm. It was great. And we won the first one.
Yeah.
That was good.
This development above our water supply in elevation, and it's 4,000 feet away from 2/3 of where we get 2/3 of our water. So it's pretty important. So I got into some of the details of it, and we put out this little map that was copied from the USGS map that had this site penciled on it and arrows pointing down the swale to the wells, and handed them out to a lot of people. And it was just like to just get the picture of the place so people knew what actually was going on, and which is important because I think a lot of things happen because people don't have the slightest feeling for what's around them and what's going on with this thing, how close it is to them, where the water, in this case, water is going. What everybody's the main concern now is the legal issue over the lower part of the site, which has the detention pond and the infiltration pond, is on this acreage that was agricultural. That 5 acres of ag land extra that they're taking is that's what the whole fight is about, and that's what the first court case that put everything on hold was the coalition, the Water Coalition, won that case, but then the Toll Brothers appealed it. So then they won the appeal on a technicality that the application was not timely enough on the suit. So that's where we are now, and everybody thinks it's illegal. That's why the crime scene tape is wrapped around the property, and that's why the occupation. That explains the people down there.
The 5.5 acres actually wasn't a part of the original deal. The original deal was the big, I don't know how many, 40 or 44 acres was the part where the buildings are actually going to be, and Toll Brothers went back to Penn State. They had the deal for $13 million for that piece, and they went back to Penn State and they said, we can't really do what we want with this much acreage. We need another piece for stormwater retention. And that was when Penn State said, oh, we'll just give you this extra 5.5 acres. Well, that wasn't included in the zone change from 2004. So that was still RA. And there's no conditional use on rural ag land for stormwater from development. And hence, that's what made it illegal. But there were studies done.
And now
The township did not do due diligence before they decided to pass it. They really didn't. They didn't know what was going on. And staff, at that time we had a different board and a different staff. And now I feel like the people that we have on now are a completely different group. Well, not completely.
Except for one.
That was really important, to have new people on the board that were more sympathetic to what we were talking about. And Laura is just amazing because she just dives into stuff, and I mean, she really puts her whole heart and soul into it. She learns everything she possibly can, which for us, having dealt with the board prior to this, a board that was just, they were just sort of like blobs sitting there, whatever staff would tell them, whatever staff would recommend, they would rubber stamp. So it's really refreshing to have a whole different board now, and people that seem to care so very much more. Personally, I would like to see Penn State realize that this is a risk to our water and back out of the deal. And I mean, they're saying, we could be taken to court and there's going to be litigation and blah, 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 blah. Well, I think there are times in your life for each person and each corporation or big business or university when you have to decide that protection of a valuable resource, a precious resource like water. I don't think there's anything that's quite more precious than that, except maybe air. They're probably even. You just have to take the chance, and if they're going to sue, then the onus is going to be on them, and the public will be with Penn State. The community will back Penn State. We will be there with them. What I would like to see on that land, that whole piece, would be organic farming, possibly a passive park, because the park is another issue. The way they have it planned, it's really a sports complex, and it's got something like 16 fields and giant lighting and some indoor. I mean, it's going to be big, and there are sports people here that want to do tournaments, and it's just the wrong place. I don't mind. That's cool. You want to do that? Fine. Find a piece of land that's not right above our water. You know, it's here. There's plenty of land here. We're not all crunched up, and this is the last little piece we've got.